Welcome to 3 minutes and 60 seconds of Torah. This week's Torah portion is called Toldot. And this week I want to do something a little bit different than in previous videos. I want to share with you a poem. But before we get to the poem, let's talk about what's going on in this week's Torah portion. We know from a couple Torah portions ago that Abraham, the very first Jewish person, was commanded by God to sacrifice his son Isaac. And we know that Abraham went to do this. Luckily, he was stopped at the last moment. But that idea of binding Isaac upon an altar with ropes is something that still shocks Jewish people to this day. We also have the story of Isaac. And Isaac himself, it says in this week's Torah portion, his eyes were dimmed. As he was laying on his deathbed, he wasn't sure, but he knew that he was coming close to the time of his death. They say that his eyes were dimmed, and that phrase sets off a number of commentaries by the rabbis. And one of the beautiful midrash texts that's shared by ancient rabbis and then retold by Rashi is that perhaps the angels in heaven, while they saw Isaac, the young boy, being bound on the altar, that the angels cried and that their tears came down from heaven and burned the eyes of Isaac. So much so that his eyes were, over the course of his life, constantly getting worse, his vision getting worse, and that by the time of him being on his deathbed, they have the text that his eyes dimmed. It's a beautiful midrash, and we're going to come back to that in a moment. Another text that Rashi shares is very simple. The reason why his eyes dimmed, we needed him to have bad vision to make the mistake of blessing Jacob instead of Esau. I think about all these pieces of the puzzle as leading to the importance of keeping that Jewish lineage alive. And so I'm going to share with you a poem that brings together all of these things, and it's called Angel Tears. So this week, as we read from the book of Genesis, we come to the portion of Toldot. I offer this poem as a meditation. Angel Tears. Who knew that God's plants were to be wound into ropes? Ropes that would one day tie Isaac to the altar, and ropes that would one day tie my shoes. Lift the right shoulder, lift the left, then repeat. A workout practiced by those who are tied down, shrugging off their pain. An angel intervenes and stays the hand. A last-second reprieve, and joy fills the heavens. Tears well up from the ducts in the angel's eyes. Just as a flood is unexpected, uncontrolled, unannounced, dangerous. All objects fall at a rate of 9.8 meters per second, but these tears fell at an infinitely slower pace, as though the force of gravity causing them to fall was met with a phantom force pushing them back up. It took an eternity to fall from the angel's eyes onto Isaac, bound with rope. The tears are still there to this day, like a mirror reflecting the true but opposite image. Isaac's tears welled up too, but his tears had nowhere to go. So they lay upon his eyes, and they burned and burned and burned with joy and with pain until his eyes became dim and he blessed the wrong son. Now go out, write your own poetry, and be Torah.